All right, today we're going to be talking about oxidative color products. There is so much stuff in this section that I'm going to divide it into two separate videos. So we're only going to go through half the slides today. Today we're going to talk about demi-permanent colors again, permanent colors, developers, fillers, concentrates, intensifiers, and drabbers, and then we're going to let that for the next video. All right. Oxidative color products. This is any product that is mixed with an oxidant, okay? So if you look at the chemical composition of developer, of hydrogen peroxide, you will find out that this is the chemical signature for developer. H2O2. Sounds a little bit familiar. If you go in and you mix color in the dispensary and you go ahead and pour your color in and you walk away and you leave the lid off of hydrogen peroxide, it starts releasing oxygen into the air. If we lose too much oxygen, what does it become? It's no longer H2O2, it becomes water. So you ruin your hydrogen peroxide, you lose all the potency of it to work if you let the lid off. So you have to be very, very conscious. You use it, you put the lid back on. Do not walk away and leave the lid off of any of this. You'll be doing someone's hair and wonder why it's not working, okay? So this is the oxidant. And it creates a chemical change, not a physical change. It's not just coating the outside of the hair now. It's actually going in and it's changing your natural hair color. All right? It has a longer lasting effect than semi-permanent. So this could be demi or permanent. And oxidative colors can deposit color or lighten and deposit in a single process. Okay, so that would be your permanent. Demi-permanent can only deposit, permanent can lift and deposit in a single process. All right, it can lift and deposit natural color. If you try to lift artificial color off someone's hair using tint, it will not work. Tint will not remove tint, okay? So if someone has brown hair and they want to be blonde and you go buy a box of blonde hair dye at the supermarket and you put it on, you just wasted your money. Tint does not remove tint. The only thing that will do that would be a color remover or a lightener. Okay? Okay, so if you have an oxidative color without ammonia, you are talking about long-lasting, semi-permanent, or demi-permanent color. There's no ammonia in it. All right, it will add tone or darken existing hair color. So remember, if I have brown hair, I could go add a red tone or I could darken it. I cannot lighten it, okay? There's no ammonia in it, it's not gonna happen. Okay, with ammonia, now you're talking about permanent hair color. It can add tone. You could be more ashy, you could be more red. You can darken or you can lighten and add tone. Now there is some limits to what color can do all by itself. So I'm going to be talking about that as we go through the developer. How far can I lighten someone's hair only using tint, and then when do I need to get out the lightener? Okay? All right, so they're showing you here, here's level 1 through 10. 1 is the darkest, 10 is the lightness, and they're showing you a level 1 has a lot of pigment. And as you come down this scale, you get less and less pigment, okay? They have less pigment but a greater lifting ability. So say someone says that they want to cover their gray. They don't just want to blend it, they want to cover it. And you use a level 10, there may not be enough pigment there to cover the gray. Okay, so it's just something that you need to keep in mind as you're working. There's not as much pigment the later you go. Okay? Again, they will not lighten artificial pigment. Okay? A color remover, a dye solvent, a lightener, a powder lightener that you've been using in here can be used to remove artificial color. Tint will not do it. Okay? It will break it down, it'll break the color down in the hair and pull it out. And then they're saying here, they're showing you here a young lady that relaxed her hair. It says non-oxidative colors and oxidative color formulas with low volume developers are a good choice for clients who relax their hair. So you've got semi-permanent, you've got demi-permanent. If you look at the directions for demi-permanent, a lot of times it will talk about using 5 volume or 10 volume. So something with a low volume developer is fine. You're not going in there and trying to do a lot and compromising the hair that's been relaxed. Okay, so again, demi-permanent or long-lasting semi-permanent, it's a low volume of hydrogen peroxide, can only deposit, cannot lift, will generally last 4 to 6 weeks and contain very little or no ammonia. Okay, the cool thing about Paul Mitchell is they take the colors that we have, and we have a lot of demi-permanent colors that match this. So say I go in and I get my hair tinted brown, and then I go 6 weeks and I come in and now I have regrowth. I need to get it done again. You can go ahead and use the permanent color and do my regrowth, and then you can use the same color in demi and you can just refresh my ends that have faded. Okay, it's better to do it that way. You'll get a shinier, healthier looking result than pulling the color through. Sometimes you have to pull the color through, and a lot of times what we'll do is a soap cap where we dilute it with shampoo before we put it on the hair, but they've created demi-permanent colors that will do the same thing. Now, they don't have every demi-permanent color that we have on here, but if you understand, say if someone wanted to get their hair a level 2, and I went back to the back and I was going to get my permanent color out, and all I had was a 1 and a 3. 1 plus 3 equals 4, and I'm using 2 colors. So if I divide 4 divided by 2, you have a 2. Okay, so this works even in more drastic examples. So if I needed a level 7 and I didn't have it, it was missing, but I had a 5 and a 9. Okay, so if I go in here and I put down, I take an ounce of 5 and 1 ounce of 9. I now have 2 ounces, and 5 plus 9 is 14. 14 divided by 2 equals 7, the one that we were missing. So you can get very complicated with this. So anytime you don't have a color, just ask yourself, do I have one lighter and darker than it, and can I do the math? Okay, I'll give you one that's maybe even a little bit more complicated. So I'm missing an 8, and I have a 4 and a 10. Okay, so if I have 4 plus 10, I get 14. If I divide that by 2, I have 7. But the person wanted 8, so that's not going to work. Okay, so 7 is too dark. So let's try adding another ounce of 10. So let's go 10 plus 10, and then 1 ounce of 4. I get 24. Now I had 3 colors that I used. 24 divided by 3 is 8. So if I mix 2 ounces of 10 and 1 ounce of 4, I have created an 8. So it's just simple math and then dividing to create what you have. So again, they're not going to have all these colors in demi-permanent, but you can create them by mixing things. Okay? Get rid of that. All right, so again with demi-permanent, they're showing you small color molecules enter the cortex. Some couple together. Some are out here on the cuticle. So it's generally 6 weeks. Some of these are going to come off pretty quickly. Some of them are going to take a little bit longer to work their way out because they're a little bit larger now. Okay? And they're a little bit deeper into the hair. So that's how this works. You get in the demi, you get some inside into the cortex and some are on the cuticle. Okay, now permanent color. Mixed with hydrogen peroxide developers, you can lighten and deposit in a single process. So in other words, if I am a level 6 and I would like to be a level 8, I can lift 2 levels plus add this tone that's in this color. So I'm adding the tone. Remember, there's not a ton of pigment in there because it's a lighter color. So I'm lightening and I'm depositing color. All right, the combination of the ammonia and the hydrogen peroxide allows for the lifting and lightening of the hair. The stronger the developer, the more lift you get. You can add tone with permanent color and darken. So I could go from a 6N to a 6C and become much redder. I'm adding tone. Or I could go from a 6N to a 4N and darken the person's hair. And I can reproduce natural shades without losing shine. This will work very well. All right, and again, we're going to get into developers here in a second. Okay, so I talked about this in the last video. You have molecules that get mixed with the hydrogen peroxide. The first thing that happens, I believe this is on the test, is the oxidative color will swell the hair strand. Okay, so it lifts the cuticle, it swells the hair strand. Same thing that happens when we put relaxers and perms on the hair. It swells. Okay, the molecules enter the hair with the aid of a substance such as ammonia. It's alkaline. Remember, our hair, skin, and nails is acid. We need alkaline substances to have this work. As they oxidize in the cuticle and the cortex, they link or couple together to form permanent color. Okay, so first they're colorless, but then the developer causes the color to come out, and that's how you change and get a new hair color. Okay, they become large and they can't get back out again. Okay, there's 3 ways that the color comes. First one is liquid. Okay, you apply it with a bottle. This is the one where you're shaking the bottle like this. You have your developer and your liquid color. I believe you did that out in the lab. It may contain fewer conditioning agents, more ammonia, but good penetration ability. Personally, I'm kind of a mess with this. Not a fan. I tend to splash it around, and I don't like my salon to be messy looking. I don't like there to be splatters on the floor or other places, so I'm not a big fan of that. Cream is what we use in here with the Paul Mitchell, where we squeeze it out of a tube and we mix it with the developer. You need a bowl and brush. You can't squeeze this out of a bottle. And has conditioners and thickening agents in it. I have used gel color. I cannot remember for the life of me what the brand was. It definitely did look like gel when you were squeezing it out. It looked like maybe a gel you would use to decorate a cake. And it's between a liquid and cream. It's more penetrating than cream, but it has fewer conditioning agents. I only know that one company, and again, I can't remember the name of it, that came out with the gel. All right, your developers. A variety of strengths. You can say volume or percentages, and consistencies, liquids or creams. Here again, I like a cream developer. It looks white like that. A liquid is clear. Okay, this is thicker. Your finished product will be thicker and less likely to be flying off of your tint brush. Lower strength developers are used for depositing. Higher strengths are used for greater lift. H2O2 is the most commonly used developer. Hydrogen peroxide. Okay? It says if you increase the strength of hydrogen peroxide in a formula beyond manufacturer's recommendations may cause damage to hair and chemical burns to the skin and scalp. The only thing I can think of that would be like this would be, say you were going to lighten someone's hair and you decided to mix the lightener with 40 volume developer, which you can do, but then you put it on their scalp. Okay? If you're going to touch the scalp with the developer or with the lightener, generally speaking, most lighteners, you just mix them differently, whether they're going on the scalp or on the rest of the hair. It didn't used to be like that. They used to keep them separate, but they've come out with them that you can just adjust it with the volume of the developer. But if you go ahead and put a high volume developer, mix it with this, and then put it on someone's scalp, it will burn and blister and you'll have scabs. Okay, so you definitely don't want to do that. Okay, in the United States, we measure developer by volume. So when we talk about it, we say 10 volume developer or 40 volume developer. In Europe, they talk about percentages. So they would say, this is 3%. It's right below the volume. This one is 12%. So they come in 3, 6, 9, and 12%. All right, so they're showing you there. The equivalent in Europe. Okay, 10 volume. Let's talk about when you would use these. Okay, so let me get this swatch. All right. So we're going to say our client comes in and they are level 4. So they're pretty dark. So let me put this up here on the board. Okay. So they're a 4. Okay, so they could go to a 3, a 2, or a 1. They could go to a 5, a 6, a 7, an 8. Intensifier. So it's about 7. It's like a 7th or an 8th the amount of the color. Okay, so it's just there to help intensifier. Okay, then there's drabbers. Okay, which could be a neutralizing shade. So it says, well, your intensifiers are yellow gold, this one, green or matte. Okay, so you can intensify the ashiness of a color. Orange, blue, red, and violet. Orange, blue, red, and violet. So everything that's left here, okay? So these are all intensifiers. Okay, so you can take whatever color and you can make it more of that. You can make it more warm, red, orange, and gold. You can make it more ash, your blue, violet, and green. Okay, your neutralizing shades are your green, blue, and violet. Okay, and again, it gives you all the formulas in here for what you're going to do. Now it does say, this is very interesting, it says, for very strong or vibrant results, add up to 30% of the formula to neutralize extreme tonality and up to 50% for vibrant intensity. When using intensifiers on levels 9 through 12, remember 9 through 12 is very light, it says expect extremely vivid results. Okay, so on your shades up here. Okay, so this summer I subbed for Mrs. Crowell downstairs, and there was a girl there, and she had golden blonde highlights, and she really wanted them to be ashy blonde. And so I said, you know, let's just try, while she was doing her stuff on her mannequin, let's just try some different things. So we tried this, we tried that, we were trying different things. So I went back and I saw this, and I said, you know what, let's try this. So we used, I don't know what color. We were probably using like a 9 or a 10. and we used, I think it was 30% of the formula. So if I used an ounce of 9, I put 1/3 of an ounce of purple in with it, the violet. Okay, so we put it on her strand and we did it. We wiped it off, and she was Barney purple. It was only one piece. She's like, oh, my kids are gonna think I'm really cool. The interesting thing was, yes, it was there. She went home over the weekend. She came back on Monday, and it was just blonde again. Okay, so a lot of this stuff is not going to last really long because your cuticles open from it being lightened. Okay, so just some things to think about. Here's your chart, but then it's saying up here, you can break the rules and you can add a lot more if you want. You know, I wouldn't do it without doing a strand test and seeing what happened. Okay, make sure I'm on the right one. Okay. So fillers. Let me get back here 1 second. Okay, let me go to fillers. Provide an even base color by filling in porous, damaged, or abused areas. Equalize porosity of hair. Deposit a base color. It's prior to or with a final color. Come in a variety of colors and generally used to replace the primary color. Okay, fillers work in 2 ways. All right, so here's this person with nice long hair, and this really nice long hair is getting really abused down here at the bottom. Okay, so there's 2 different kinds of fillers you can use. There is a conditioner filler. Okay, so there are certain products that you put on, and what it does, if you think about it, the conditioner is not really going to be able to get in here per se. It's going to get sucked into the areas where the cuticle's wide open. So it starts filling the hair with this conditioner. Okay? So now, if you put the color on, if it takes, we'll say 20 minutes for it to process here, what you're aiming for is that it takes 20 minutes to process down here, because all this filler is getting in the way and slowing it down. If that filler wasn't there, it would just suck in down there, and it would just be, it would process like that. And then this would be sitting here, nothing would be happening. The other option you have is what is called a color filler. So if I put a color filler, it works exact same way. It's not going to go in here because the cuticle's not open, and you fill in with this color. So if you had lightened your hair very light, and then you wanted to go back to your natural color, which was dark, and you just put that level 4 back on there per se. If you remember, underneath all of these colors, so if we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, you've lightened it to a 9, and I'm going to simplify it, but this would be, say, black, brown, red, or red-brown, I'm sorry, red, red-orange, orange. Okay, and you're going back to this color. So if you just take a brown and put it on here, you are missing all of that underlying pigment in between there. You're going to get like a muddy, ashy, ugly looking brown. A filler is designed to replace that first, and then you put the color over it. Okay, so if you think about this, if you're going back and you can fill this in with more color, the underlying pigment, so we'll say we're going to fill this in with orange, okay, and then put the color on, you'll get a nice natural color. It's kind of like magic. It will only go in where the hair is damaged. It can't get in where the hair is healthy. Okay, so this hair is going to take fine. This part needs a filler, whether it's a conditioner filler or a color filler, depending on what you're doing. Okay. Okay, there's the 2 types. Reconditions damaged hair. Colors applied directly over the filler and processed. Color, it's used on damaged hair such as porous hair, and if there's a question about whether the color will hold. Okay, so that will help hold the color in there if you use a color filler. Okay, so there is the person before. They put the filler on, they applied the color over it, and that's the final result. Now, I've always been told, I'm looking here, I'm not sure, they're not specifying on this slide, but you want to wipe it off, the filler. You don't want to shampoo it, you just want to wipe the excess off and then put the color on so that the color can process. Okay, we'll see if that's on here or not. Okay, advantages. Get a more uniform color from scalp to ends. Same up here where it's healthy as where it's not healthy. It will deposit color on faded hair and ends, helps the hair hold, prevents off-color results. Remember, I'm telling you, if you're not putting those missing primaries back in there, and prevents it from looking all dull and ugly. Okay, concentrates, intensifiers, and drabbers. We kind of touched on that with the purple, the green, the orange, the red, okay? Used to brighten or neutralize tones, used to brighten and used to neutralize. So it just depends what you're going for. If you're trying to get rid of orange, you're gonna add a little bit of blue and you're going to drab out the orange. Okay, that's what they're talking about. It's drabbing it out. It's not as orange anymore. It's becoming more ashy. Intensifier, maybe you're using a red and you really want it red, you're going to intensify it with the red. So it just depends on what you're doing. Don't get hung up on these words, whether it's a concentrate, intensifier, drabber. Just realize what you're trying to achieve. You know, I need more blue. I need blue in there to get rid of that orange, or I need more green to get rid of the red. Whatever it is that you need, you're adding it to your formula to achieve those results. Okay, and that's where we're stopping. This will be the next video.